Before we get started tonight, ladies and gentlemen, another episode of Fast Break here on iSports Radio. I want to introduce y'all to our main sponsor, the Southern California Warriors Semi-Pro Football Team. The world of semi-pro sports, unlike any other sports organizations, players paying to play and host so many different outcomes, whether it's playing to get films to try out for the professional teams, big-time colleges, or just playing to change shape. No matter what, all semi-pro players have one thing in common, and that's playing for the love of the game. The SoCal Warriors have been on the quest in their titles to give players second chances since 2017. Wherever you're in Southern California or anywhere in the world, give semi-pro sports a chance if you love your sport. You may get that second chance you've been waiting for as an athlete. You can find them on social media at Twitter at SoCal Warriors. You can find them on Instagram, Southern California Warriors, and on Facebook, Southern California Warriors. Now on to the show. We're back this week, and after going live this past Thursday for the NBA draft, you can check that out on my personal YouTube channel. Excuse me, I'll get my words out. Davidson Crooks. We give our final thoughts in the NBA draft. Who comes out on top? Who probably still needs some work? And what can we expect in the summer league? Plus, NBA free agency starts this upcoming Thursday with the tampering stops at exactly 5 p.m. Eastern. 6 p.m. Eastern. So we'll discuss that. Who may be going where, who's going to opt out, what's going to happen come Thursday. We'll discuss that and much more here on Fast Break, live on iSports Radio. Your direct feed for that is all sports. And you're welcome to join us. And join us as you shout tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Lots to talk to, lots to get into, lots of things to discuss. Free agency right around the corner for the NBA. So we're up and rolling on that. D-Lock, how you doing tonight, sir?
I'm doing pretty good, man. Definitely had a great draft, big time.
Yeah, very good show. Like I said, go to my personal YouTube channel, Davidson Crooks. You'll see the whole video there, 3 hours plus. We discuss picks, ask some of y'all's questions about, free agency, a little bit in that, draft picks, gave our analysis. It was a great time we did. A lot of surprises, and we're gonna go over our final thoughts in the draft. So D-Lock, I know you probably had some time to think about this today. Your final thoughts of the 22 NBA draft, especially with your Orlando Magic going number one overall.
Well, for me, I know that we had that number one pick. Want to get Paulo. Remember, I told you when I found out that we got that number one pick that I wanted us to get him, being the fact that he is at the pressure of being at a Duke University with hell of a great players there, hell of a lot of great players there. Took them pretty far with Coach K's last season. So I just felt like, and also what we had on our roster, I feel like he's going to be a great player moving forward. And I've already told you, like, now that we have that piece, we need to build around him. And we need to use him as a person to build around. Also, hopefully, convince the other players to come to Orlando. So I feel like that was a great piece for us. I think that was a good piece, even though a lot of people didn't expect it until minutes or maybe an hour prior to the draft, to the pick. So I really love that pick for us. But the biggest thing that stuck out for me, or I'll just go a few, is what the Houston Rockets have done. Okay, so everybody expected Jabari Smith to go number one, but he falls to 3 because Chet goes to OKC in the second round, or second pick. They come back and go get Tari Easton. And they come back and get Tata Washington. Mm-hmm. I love what they have done. This team is very young, and as I said before, have some solid pieces in the Kevin Porter, Sam Nguyen, Jayshawn Tate, who's very young, who we've seen play the power forward position a lot for them, even though he's more of a small forward. So that being said, they needed depth at the forward position. Also trading Christian Wood. So going to get Jabari Smith for Tari Easton was a great, that was great. Obviously picking at 3 and 17 to come back at 29 and get Tata Washington. So Jalen Green has a lot of great pieces around him as well. So I just, like I said, I love how the draft went for them. I call them, the main winners of this draft. Now, clearly, majority of the time, you're going to see teams that pick at the top of any draft be winners if they pick, choose wisely, make some of these great picks prior to the season, the season. So I think that was something that stuck out to me big time. Another thing that stuck out to me for athlete, a ball player, is Patrick Baldwin Jr. Obviously, we know his story as far as going to play with his dad getting hurt, or staying playing in Milwaukee and then getting hurt. As you said, projected probably a top 5 pick prior to that season. He goes to the NBA Final Champs. I mean, this guy's long. He can shoot. Like I said, this is one of those things that you don't want Golden State to have any more of. So they're more than likely going to bring a lot of their guys back. Now you bring in a shooter who is long as well, that can play a big piece for your team moving forward. So, the Warriors are at a point to where they just need to add on to what they have. They don't really have any needs. They just need to add on to what they have. So, for me, that was a huge piece. Steve Kerr is loving that pick. It's going to do a lot for the rotation guy that he has. Now, real quick, I'll say something about the Lakers. Before this trade earlier yesterday, earlier the day before the trade, the day of the trade, they traded up with the Magic, and they went in and got, they make that move. You're thinking, okay, cool, they're gonna go get a piece that's gonna, kind of help them right now. Well, they really go get a development player in Max Christie out of Michigan State. Now, like you said, maybe this is some kind of tie to Rob Pelinka. Maybe that's one of the reasons that he went and drafted the 19-year-old. Now, maybe in a couple of years he's going to do something. But as I said before, LeBron is not waiting for 2 or 3 years from now. What they're trying to do is not necessarily let's look 3 or 4 years down the road with aging LeBron James. So I think that's a little bit in question. I definitely think that he's going to be pretty solid moving forward, just not for what the Lakers are trying to do right now. He would fit well like in the Magics or OKC, somewhere like that. But with the Lakers and what their expectations would be moving forward, I kind of think that was kind of like a move that doesn't really help too much of what they're doing right now. Walker Kessler, that's another name that came out to me. That was a shocker to me because you got Karl-Anthony Towns there. It's clear that you possibly might move D'Angelo Russell. I'm thinking they need a damn guard, and they go a center. They already have a 3-point contest winner at a center position in Karl-Anthony Towns, and they go get Walker Kessler. Now that means Naj Reed, I think Jaden McDaniels. You have a lot of guys there now. He's gonna have to walk because he's gonna have to fit in that rotation. But with so many blocks as he had and the defender that he is, he's gonna make a big impact there in Minnesota. My question is just how many minutes is he gonna get? Like, whose minutes are you taking? Are you taking away from? So, for me, those are the biggest things that stuck out to me. Oh, and also the Nets didn't pick anybody. So they're in a situation now where hell they can't even lose Kyrie, even though there's been talk about him not wanting like the extension and all that other good stuff. But I think them losing him wouldn't be a good thing. So, but those are the main things for me that really stuck out to me in this draft. Oh, and then also, as we see every year, what the hell are the Knicks doing? We will never know.
I agree.
Yeah, so it just that's a question that we always say, try to figure out what teams are doing and all this other stuff, and we always have that question: Where's Waldo? Well, we need to tie in. What the hell is the Knicks doing during the off season? Needs to be a question that's asked as much as where's Waldo. So for me, that's mainly it, man. I mean, it was like I said, it was a really good draft. We've seen a lot of dominant players go. It's just that you've seen the teams, you've seen like maybe 2 or 3 teams build towards the future, and then you've seen those top teams get better.
I think for me, everyone shout out to the chat. Shout out to Terry Rodriguez in the chat. To answer Terry's question about the Lakers real quick, they should have drafted EJ Liddell. There were a couple other guys besides EJ I was looking at. Chandler for Tennessee, he was one. Keon Ellis for Alabama, he was another one. Just ready to play guys and stuff like that. I was looking at, in my humble opinion. And then they go at Max Christie from Michigan State. Not a bad kid. I got good two guard size, but Rob Pelinka talked, his post draft comments. They're looking for guys to develop for down the road. And that's all well and good, dog, but I get his point. But it's like, you kind of in here and now. With Anthony Davis and LeBron James. God knows how long, both of those guys got on that basketball clock to contribute. And then behind that, who else do you really got? Some people pointed out saying, and I saw a video from Lakers Nation, the fan website that covers the Lakers, D-Lock. They said, well, because the news about John Wall, which we'll probably get into later, if he gets bought out and gets brought to the Lakers, can that, work with Russ Westbrook still in the fold? I said, and they said, I won't want that, blah, 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 blah. And I said, I wouldn't want that either. But then in the same breath, in that same video, D-Law, they said, yeah, they be all right. They got Austin Reeves and Kendrick Nunn to be the point guards. No, I like Kendrick Nunn. No shade to him. Austin Reeves was a good find undrafted wise. But those two dudes are not taking you to the mothership. I'm sorry. To Terrence's point, will EJ Lindell be a great fit? Hey, kind of look at that tweener forward position. Melo's probably gone. God knows who they got to bring back. I mean, they got Waylon Gabriel, Stanley Johnson there too. So probably the Lakers looked at that saying, well, we already got 2 guys kind of like that, similar. But that's my only thought process, Taryn, that they didn't draft them. So, and they probably went more the guard route. But I kind of wish they went more point guard just in case, God knows what happens at the free agency mark or Russell Westbrook going to get traded. So that's my thoughts on the Lakers right there. Shout out to Andrew Haribo in the chat. What's up, sir? What do we think about Cleveland drafting Abaji? I like the pick. I think you need that other wing player because you can't go big again. Granted, you drafted the other Mobley Buffer in the second round, but you couldn't go big in the first round. And who knows what's going to happen with Colin Sexton and his free agency. But you couldn't go big again. I mean, getting a wing will go great. LeVert, as much as I like him, has been injury prone in his career and has had health problems. So I thought that was a good pick all around for the Cavaliers. And who knows if things don't work out with Okoro, then you got this, and then you got Abaje just right there to slide into that spot. But my remaining thoughts on the draft, D-Lock, the Bulls. When healthy, and I was thinking about this. When healthy, they got pretty good depth at guards. If you really think about it, the drafted Dalen Terry from Arizona. At times Arizona this year they I won't say overachieved, but they kind of really came out of nowhere. And Terry wasn't he was one of the causes, but wasn't the main one. Unlike his teammate got drafted by Indiana, Benedict Mathurin. But I thought the Bulls need size down low. Unless they go and look through the veteran round, D-Lock in the free agency, I thought you could have got another wing player in the second round or something like that. Walker Kessler would have been perfect fit for the Bulls. I mean, a fitting glove. You talking about Walker Kessler not maybe fighting for playing time to start for the T-Wolves. I think Kessler could have got easy playing time with the Bulls. And possibly, I don't know, they probably wouldn't have done this, but possibly maybe start it if things go right, or kind of mean that part of that second unit when Vooch sits down. So I thought the Bulls could have got like a guard like a Dalen Terry, even the second round, even undrafted, because a lot of very solid guys went undrafted in this year's draft. In my humble opinion. Your Orlando Magic. I thought they did a great job. I'm going to pose this question to you real quick. To build continuity early for this team, and I was thinking about this the past couple of days. Would you, if you're in an Orlando management position, would you have your guys like Franz Wagner, Jalen Suggs, Cole Anthony, Paolo Banchero to run together in summer league to kind of get that cohesion together early? So by come training camp, you got that continuity there. You got, what the guys feel in playtime situations, stuff like that. And then come October, you hit the ground running in the preseason and whatnot. What you think about that idea, or you think they won't do
that? Well, my opinion, more I think about it, They should definitely get that. These guys are some young guys. I mean, I don't think anybody over on this team is over 25 or 24. Possibly maybe a Jonathan Isaac and Wendell Carter, maybe. I don't think so. Um, One thing about we know about sports and most teams, and the Magic has shown it as well, it's about winning right now. So you want to see a sense of improvement. You want to see your teams. They want to see that. Because what happens is these coaching jobs are getting started over and being optional couple of years. So for me, I truly think that you get your group of young guys in there. You're not gonna probably play Terrence Ross. He's already been proven. He's already done what he's done. But most of you guys, I wouldn't rule that out. That would be a great idea. I believe at first I was thinking like, nah, you're probably gonna sit Franz Wagner, but go ahead and get him in there as well. Get that rotation, get those guys going. Because again, we're talking about being in the East.
Yep.
You get a chance to have a huge improvement, just to get a chance to be recognized and getting the number one pick, getting Paolo has already given you that type of attention. So you're already coming in there with high expectation. I believe the first game is July 7th against the Rockets.
Yep.
So you're going to see Jabari Smith and Paolo against each other then, both young teams. So I think it's a great idea. This is one of those sports where it's not like track and field where you need to have an off season where you're not sprinting or doing a workout every day. You need to have a time of rest. I don't necessarily see basketball as much. Most of the time, a lot of these guys, unlike Anthony Davis, who we heard a couple of weeks ago, they're usually in the court, on the court somewhere shooting, getting some workout in, hell, doing some type of scrimmage. Most of these players, they go to scrimmage with other pro ball players. So they're usually working out together. So for me, I think it would be excellent. I think it would be a great idea. Now, do the Magic do it? That's one thing that is in question. Now, if they do, I would love to see it because that means they're trying to move a lot better, be more successful, and they're really dedicated to winning, or they're showing a sense of dedicated to winning and improving. But I don't know if they do it. That's the only question. But I believe they should. I think that the guys will speak it. I'm not sure how many people seen, but Jalen Suggs was at Paulo's. He was at the rookies. I'm sorry, not Apollo. He was at the rookies press conference. So these guys are they know each other. They know of each other. They recognize each other, and they're trying to build some type of chemistry early. So I think that can be done. My thing is, when do they get together and actually make that move? Now, I think like I said, the thing about that pick, I really hope they do that. This team is very young. Start that chemistry now. The same thing I said about Houston. You got all these pieces. We see what Golden State has done with the pieces that they had and how they drafted. And look how it looks years from now. Getting a Clay, getting a Steph, getting a Draymond. So, not saying these teams are going to be the Warriors, but at least they'll be better than what they are right now. I think in 4 or 5 years they do it correctly.
Yeah, that's main goal. And then, like you just alluded to, like you want to push things along. You don't. After a while, it sucks. Just rebuild and rebuild and rebuild. You want to get back to the success level like you had when you drafted Dwight Howard. You want to get back to that part. Being top 4 in the East and stuff like that, and going to the deep playoff runs and all that, etc. You need to get ahead and get the ball rolling. Like you mentioned, how being in the East. God knows what the hell's going to happen with the Wizards. The stories about Bradley Beal re-signing for 5 years. The Knicks, God knows what they're going to do. The Pistons, they're kind of in the same boat with the Magic, rebuilding as well. The Hawks, seem like everybody not named Trae Young is on the trade block. The Hornets, they rehired Steve Clifford, which I can't stand. Like the fucking, you know, I discussed this D-Log. Fucking retreads. Excuse my language. Like, damn. Like, nobody else want that job. I'm trying to get sidetracked here, but like nobody else want that job at Charlotte. They brought back Steve Clifford. But anyways, excuse me. But this going down to the East, like Boston, Milwaukee, they'll be at top, and along with Philly. Chicago, I think they're middle of the road, along with Miami. They're in that same area. Then you get to Brooklyn.
That seems like the worst franchise right now. What the hell going on with them? I don't want no parts of that shit. That's just my opinion right now. They just sound like crazy right now.
That situation there is like, if you're the Magic and Kyrie does get moved, you're talking about a Brooklyn team that has like no assets. You can take advantage of that for the next coming years. So my point about Orlando is you got a very young, talented roster. Some of these teams in the East don't know which side is up. You know, Cleveland's, you know, I think with the play Darius Garland, getting Jaron Allen in the fold, if LeVert stay healthy, along with Mobley, and Markin can stay healthy, I think, you know, that's another young team you got to worry about. The Pacers, I mean, I like what they did, but we'll see what moves they make. With Malcolm Brogdon and Miles Turner still be in the fold, you know, come this time next week. So there's a lot of questions in the East that if Orlando play their cards right, get these guys together early, especially in Summer League, I think they could do some things. But it's up to the organization.
That's what it is. I've been saying it.
You know, I watched this YouTube channel. Guys that is serious about stunning growth and stuff like that. I watched a video with him and who was it? With Darko Milicic. And, you know, at that around that time, you know, you can pinpoint why the players didn't achieve their status and whatnot or their hype. But in the end of the day, it's the organization. Let's be real. You know, Larry Brown, with that veteran-led team, ain't gonna play Darko like that. Look at the Kings. They've been in this hole for a while. Look at all the draft top 5 picks they had. It's all about the organization. I always blame ownership. You're at the top of this. And shout out to Mike Pat in the chat. We're going to get to Bradley Beal in here in a little bit. But if you look at why some of these teams still stuck where they are, it's all about the organization. You got to have a strategy from the ownership up all the way down. So that's why teams like the Sacramento Kings are in there where they at. You know, the Magic currently where they at. Pistons currently where they at. The Wizards, you know, they can't suck enough to get a top 3 pick, but, you know, they ain't good enough to make the playoffs either. So you're always in the middle. I mean, I'm not saying you can get your franchise player at number 10 or 11, but still, look where you're at. And, the damn Knicks, too. Talking about a dumpster fire with Mr. Blues singer James Nolan. It's all about fits and ownership on my final thoughts to the draft. Yeah, we can go through each pick and give our thoughts on what's going to happen. But if these kids ain't set up to succeed by management and whatnot, then you're doing the kid a disservice unless their own issues, overcomes organization, goals. They ain't fair for the fan base and whatnot. It's not fair. It's really not.
No, I mean that's the thing. We see all of these great athletes in any sport, right? One of the biggest busts in the NFL is Jamarcus Russell. Does that happen if he goes to the Patriots instead of the Raiders? Does that happen if he go to the Packers? Does it happen if he go to the Cowboys? A team that puts a lot of effort into winning how they do their franchises. Now, granted, there's other players that you've seen clearly have a great team opportunity, and it doesn't pan out. That happens. But to your point, I've been saying it. I know me. One thing I like to do, a lot of people play, I like to play Madden. I talked to you earlier about playing NBA. I like to do the franchise. And the thing about playing those franchises is you have to build from the ground up after a couple of years. Some of the guys that you have, they get a little older, they retire, whatever. You got to start from the bottom and make that team good. That's what makes playing the franchise on a game interesting. And if some of these teams give an effort to want to win, there is big time trades that could possibly be made to make your team a hell of a lot better. A lot of risky trades. But some of those things have to be done so you can turn those franchises. We talk about, let's prime example, might have got off topic with it, but prime example, the Lakers. We see what Julius Randle looks like. We see what Brandon Ingram looks like. Josh Hart looks pretty solid. A lot of guys that were with the Lakers prior to LeBron and AD, they look great as hell right now. Or they look like some great pieces. But the fact is, in LA, they were not getting it done. It just was not happening. They could have had more time, but in a win-now league, as the NBA is, you go get a LeBron. And now you have to make the biggest trade or one of the biggest, riskiest trades to win now. Some people may agree with it, some may not. We look at the poster trade, right? Anthony Davis was hurt all year, correct?
Yep.
Prior to that, remember LeBron was hurt. So now they go after AD has been hurt. A lot of people are saying, well, AD is injury prone, and look how this trade looks. But nobody wasn't complaining when the Lakers won the NBA title. So for me, understanding, you want to build towards the future, and that sounds great. But it's clear what the Lakers are about. They're about winning right now. They teamed up. They signed a player that's about winning right now. So as that trade looks, 4 or 5, and you talked about it earlier about the trade with Russ or the picks. Granted, you trading that 2027 pick isn't the smartest thing in the world, not for Russ. But if somebody was to offer Kevin Durant for that pick, now we're having a different type of discussion. So at the end of the day, the franchises that want to win will continue to. They will give those efforts. They will find a way. And the Magic, the Rockets, OKC, they need to turn to that. That's what they need to start to build towards. You got a lot of the pieces. I mean, hell, look at the players that they got. Even before this draft for both the Rockets and the Magic, they got an all under 25 team.
Yep.
To be honest, Jalen Suggs, Cole Anthony, Kevin Porter, Sengun, Jalen Green. Come on now, the list goes on. Like they got a lot of guys. Chuma, they got a lot of guys that you could put a very well put together team. So now you adding all these other guys who are damn near under 20. I don't think anybody that got drafted between these teams are over 21. Like, now you build with that chemistry, and move forward. A lot of the great documentaries that we've seen of teams that are competitive for a consistent amount of years, they had a group that they built around. We can take it to the Buffalo Bills when they went to 4 Super Bowls. They had the same core guys. We can talk about the Fab Five. They had the same core guys. The Golden State Warriors, same core guys. Bulls, same core guys. The Pistons. So it goes on and on and on. These teams need to do the same thing and trust that, because at the end of the day, not every draft is going to have a LeBron James. That's not going to happen. So, I have to find a way to get it done, man. I mean, like I said, I agree with you there. Like, you got some pieces. Get the shit done, man.
Yep.
You have to think. Sometimes you just at some point, I'm starting to believe that some people need to sell their franchise.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, because some don't want to win as bad. So you go somewhere to where they want to win as bad. Now you're looking at, okay, maybe you try this and you risk this. You may lose for a couple of years, but then you're going to hit on a couple of trades, a couple of decisions that need to be made. But decisions need to be made to turn these franchises around, man, because ain't no way in hell Houston have not been anywhere with the Russ and the James Harden on the team and the Chris Paul. That they should have been somewhere. You know what I'm saying? So hopefully, like I said, these franchises, they get it right now.
To the chat, Taryn, I did see that proposal that Nick Wright did. And this is why lately I've been kind of attacking these guys. Like Nick Wright with his hair plugs and whatnot. They just throw stuff on the wall to see what sticks and see what people react to. This is like it's not even trying to get it right. It's just like bad. That's bad. That's bad. That's just silly takes, man. It's like, damn, y'all don't put no thought process on what y'all say. I mean, he ain't the only one like that. Skip Bayless, he's another one, says off the wall stuff. And I think it got to a point that he needs, well, I would say professional counseling, but I think he knows what he's doing. But in the same breath, he may need some help. But, I don't know. That's another subject for another day. But I guess to wrap this up, to go to LKC real quick. Getting Chet Holmgren, very good pickup. And if I check Holmgren, yeah, you add some weight to get accustomed to the NBA, but in today's NBA, who's really gonna post you up and whatnot and really take advantage of your frame? Not a lot of these guys. And like you mentioned about, for example, like Karl-Anthony Towns. His ass be out there just trying to shoot 3-pointers. So if you're Chet Holmgren, are you really gonna sweat that? How many guys down low you really got banged with on
Correct.
a game-to-game basis? If you really, really think about it. You don't have to sweat that from the Dallas Mavericks. Well, granted, they got Christian Wood, but I mean, he ain't that much of a banger. We'll see where DeAndre Ayton ends up. Anthony Davis, we'll see how Darvin Ham gets him situated and offensively and stuff like that. And by the way, about Anthony Davis, I don't know if you saw this on First Take with when JJ Redick was on, which was kind of really not surprising, but I think it's kind of good that this got out. He brought it to the fact, talking about, I agree, Mike. Yeah, if he gets at least about 215 at least, I think he'd be straight. But JJ brought up the point that when in their time in New Orleans, if Anthony Davis wasn't right, and this is like injuries that he could have played through, but if he ain't right, he ain't playing at all.
Nope.
If he ain't feeling like 100%, he ain't playing at all. So I thought that was like very intelligent because I think the only time he really played on a bad injury was a couple years ago against Phoenix with the leg issue. I think other than that, if this dude ain't feeling 100% or really legitimate hurt, he ain't playing. And I think to myself like, damn dog, if you hurt, I understand, but if your pinky just kind of throbbing, every 30 minutes, then get your ass out there and play. And it kind of goes back to what I've been saying for the past couple of weeks. When you train with Russ and you try and get rid of Russ and you try and attach that first round pick, you don't know what's going to happen 5 years down the road. Especially like Anthony Davis. You don't know what's going to happen. That's why I say don't trade that pick. Because God knows what's going to happen. Because LeBron's going to play somewhere with his son for at least a year. Davis, by the time those 5 years, his contract's up and you might not want him back. So there's a lot of things that some of these teams don't really think about and all that stuff. But go ahead.
Well, to be honest with you, Anthony Davis, he plays basketball like when he decided to play. It's like how my coaches would do when we did workouts. As soon as we do a workout, if your pinky hurts, my coach say, "Oh, go to the training room."
Oh, forget that.
He won't even let you go out there. You cough. I mean, he was so, trying to make sure he prevent injuries, right? It's, okay, something's wrong. Okay, do this. Go straight to the training room. So it seems like that is how Anthony Davis is taking it. But I don't think he's as fragile as I think he's making himself seem fragile, shall I say. But, when you have an injury that, makes you miss a certain amount of games or a lot of your career, you're a lot more precautionary. And I think that's the problem that we're seeing. So for me, I don't think that's going to change in him right now. AD is 27.
Mm-hmm.
So you're definitely going to see him do that moving forward for a while. But it goes back to what you said with the trade situation. Like, do you trade him? I mean, do you with Russ? Like, you don't know what's going to happen, in 5 years. So, and it makes it real tough, especially with Anthony Davis doing things that way. It's very tough, man, to make that, like to pull the trigger on the trade.
So that's very true. To wrap up my thoughts, Robbie Smith going to Houston, I thought very solid pick for them. I love Jaden Ivey going to the Pistons. I thought that was a good fit for them, and him and Cunningham could play off each other really well. What's going to happen with Killian Hayes? That's another thing because he has had ample chances to kind of show that if he can play K Cunningham, then that'd be backcourt for the future. But his play just kind of sucked this year, and I think that's why the Pistons went with Ivy. In my eyes, Shaedon Sharpe, will be the one I'll keep my eyes on the most, because this guy chose not to play this past year, especially in the second semester of this past year of college basketball. And, you know, credit for him and his team to kind of keep the hype alive and whatnot. But if I'm a scout, I mean not a scout, like a person in management in the NBA, I'm not taking a risk on a kid who ain't playing a year and a half. I'm not going on just on tape from AAU 2 years ago or a year and a half ago, whatever. I can't go about that. Because you're talking about AAU that, yeah, you probably play some D1 level type of talent, but also you talking about kids maybe going down to Division II or whatnot. No shade to those guys, but if you talk about a kid that you potentially taking the lottery about a couple years down the road at that from that point from then I need to see you, especially at Kentucky playing the SEC. I need to see you play a few games at that level. And who knows if this kid will play that second semester, especially in the NCAA tournament, could he been a difference against a St. Peter's? I just throwing that out there. Could he made like a little run in that tournament with Kentucky? I'm just saying, it's like I hope Portland made a right decision. Before we talk about the free agency and stuff like that, maybe he get packaged to a deal for Kevin Durant. Who knows? So there's a lot of questions with that kid and decision making. I wish him all the best, but you're going to a team in Portland that, hey, if Anthony Simons get gone, then they're gonna throw you in the fire quickly.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, that's what it is. It just my thing is, we just, like I said, we see a lot of rotation of different picks make a big difference. And hell, we still got to touch on Clifford going to the Hornets. This league is very interesting, man. We see stuff like this happen often. Different things like this happen often, anyways.
Do you want to touch on the Clifford thing before we go to NBA free agency real quick?
I mean, to be honest with you, I mean, I know you said a little bit about it, but real quickly, I mean, the fact is, when Atkinson backed out of it, Michael Jordan panicked. So I mean, the Charlotte Hornets panicked. They didn't. I mean, it could have been some interviews, but they excuse me, they got the guy they wanted, not Atkinson, and then he pulled out. So for me, I think that was just kind of the move of that. Fact is, they knew exactly who they wanted, and they had to go to some type of backup. And Clifford was there. I didn't think Clifford was a bad coach to begin with. It's just that he went to a team like the Magic, who they had disagreements at one point as far as trying to win. So they got a guy now. They definitely need it, especially after what Atkinson did.
I'll just get my partner on Clifford. But my point is, like, damn, you bring him back to the fold. And I'm just looking at all these other coaches around the league trying to get a head coaching job, and you bring this guy back into the fold. All that young, hungry coaches irking for a chance, and they're not getting a call. They just bring this guy back quickly. We talked in the past about Becky Hammond, interviewing for these jobs and whatnot, and not getting one. And they sometimes some of these hires are going with retreads and whatnot. I kind of look at her situation like, damn, if she's still coaching the NBA, Would she be a candidate for this position? I'm just saying, like, damn, there's other coaches out there. Give them a chance. Like, hell, Adrian Griffin, for example, he out there. Mark Bryant, he's out there as well. I forgot the assistant coach for the Mavericks, that the defensive coach for them. I forgot his name. Him. I'm just saying, it's like there's other guys out there besides Mount D'Antoni and whoever. Why Atkinson, didn't want the job, I don't know. Maybe they promised him something down the line. I don't know. Who knows? We'll see. Maybe he saw like a good chance of maybe win another ring, and then look at the landscape come next year. Who knows? But I just kind of wish another young coach who haven't had a chance yet get the opportunity. Or hell, even like a Phil Handy, paid his dues, give him a shot. But it goes back to that ownership type of deal. As much as we love Michael, sometimes he and his people decision making kind of sucks. So we'll see what this time around what Steve Clifford will do with this team this time around. D-Lock, NBA free agency begins this Thursday. The tampering part, about 6 p.m. Eastern. A lot of things and news are coming about NBA free agency and whatnot. The Kyrie news has been shoved down our throat since last week. So much so, I went on our Twitter page on Fast Break at IESR to kind of call him out on that. I was like, damn, the draft is like 3 days away. Y'all ain't really talking about that. Y'all talking about Kyrie and the damn Clippers and whatnot. It's like, why? But anyways, you got the Kyrie news. And then tag along with the Kyrie news, you got KD. If Kyrie leaves, he may ask for out too. Then you got, what does Bradley Beal do? There's reports that he might opt out but re-sign with the Wizards. Then you got, players like Jalen Brunson, so forth. DeAndre Ayton, what's going to happen with him? All sorts of news. Seems like it'll be a more trade-heavy offseason than signing. What are some things you're going to keep an eye on come Thursday in the tampering period?
Well, the biggest thing is Bradley Beal. Clearly, the Kyrie situation. There's a lot of pieces out there that I've seen. I think we went over it yesterday or a couple days ago during the draft. We've seen there's a lot of nice pieces out there. Literally could build you a playoff type team through free agency. So I really want to see what happens with Bradley Beal. There's a couple other guys that I was actually looking at. Clearly, the Russ situation. I also want to see what happens with Ricky Rubio. I know that he got hurt, and he didn't really see too much of him there. But I think I want to see what happens with him. Another key person, and I probably want to touch on him, is Jeremy Lamb. I'm sorry, not Jeremy Lamb. T.J. Warren. I really want to see because when he plays, he shows you what he can bring to the table. So it's going to be interesting to see how it plays, where he lands. So it just so many good pieces, man, in this free agency, man. I just want to see who's going to come out and bring out a lot of money. and get the guy that they want. So it's just like I said, it's just a few guys. Also, I think PJ Tucker's also a free agent.
Yes.
Yeah, so him, a couple guys like Kyle Anderson, also Tyus Jones. So it's just numerous of things that we're going to see. I do want to see what Knicks do with Jalen Brunson if they do make that move to go grab him. I mean, are they going to pay that money? So it's very interesting, man. I mean, like I said earlier, you'll never know what the hell the Knicks doing, but they need to do something, to make proof that they're trying to make some type of improvement toward their roster. Because moving Kemba, I mean, what did that really do?
To Bradley Beal, real quick. It's hard to turn down the money that he's going to potentially earn opting out then re-signing. No shame for him for doing that. But as we've seen, as we talk here on this show and whatnot, your legacy and whatnot. What's going to be the end result of your legacy after your career ends? For me, if he decides to stay with the Wizards and nothing really changed about the city with the Wizards, like with the draft picks they got, the guys they drafted and whatnot, none of those guys take a big leap. Kristaps, he's injured on and off. Some people probably try and put him in the Hall of Fame, but if you don't have success and stuff like that to go along with your stats, then you're not Hall of Fame worthy in my eyes. Maybe down the road, but you're not first ballot in my eyes. So yeah, get your money. Set up your family for life. But to say, some people say, he's a Hall of Fame worthy player. I'm like, he ain't had that success. I'm sorry, on a consistent basis. I'm sorry. Hey, you resign. Hey, cool, awesome. No shade. If you want to try and work it out with Porzingis, hey, cool. Do what you gotta do. But if you really, really, really want to win, this is your year to do it. Now, some reason ever, he doesn't want to take advantage of that. Also, look at Jalen Brunson. Guy that since he's been drafted by the Mavericks a few years ago, that's really showed his worth. Really kind of outplayed his second round status. It really showed his value come this past playoff run. Guy can score. Guy can lead your team. Where does he go? I don't know. The Knicks are really trying to position themselves to get him, and that's why they made the flurry of draft day trades to kind of not have that rookie, cap number there to go after Brunson. That's why they got rid of Kemba, and they may not resign Mitchell Robinson. So he could be option there for them. Uh, DeAndre Ayton. That's the big mystery room right here. Phoenix, for some reason, doesn't want to give him the max, or doesn't think he's a max player compared to some of his contemporaries. If you look at Trae Young, he got his max deal, and then they barely made the playoffs. Luka got his max deal, took his team to the Western Conference Finals. But Ayton, ever since come back from the suspension, been very consistent. You know, and my only thought process they won't give him the max because of that suspension. They kind of like docking his pay in a sense. That's really, really, I think about when it comes down to that part. It's like, dang, y'all kind of docking his pay because they're that, the drug thing. But I think what I just alluded to earlier, I think this is going to be a trade heavy off season, and it depends what starts out with Kyrie. Where wherever the hell he decides to do, that's going to be the first domino, and then we'll see what's going to happen after that. If y'all hear fireworks out there, I live in Alabama. I live in the county. There's no noise, ordinance, or anything like that. So you hear fireworks, that's what's going on. So sorry about that. Anyways, excuse me. But D-Lock, I think this is gonna be a trade heavy off season, starting with Kyrie, and then just snowball from there. Uh, with Russ, you know, I mean Zach LaVine says he's gonna try to come out to the Bulls, but who knows? Maybe somebody else steps up with an offer and maybe do a sign trade there. You know, James Harden, does he still stick around with Philly or he goes elsewhere? And also then there's the Kevin Durant conundrum. Does he ask for a trade or he stays put? You know, if Dane can convince him to come to Portland, does he ask for a trade? So I think it's just going to be real trade heavy this off season. Excuse me, this off season. What signing trade candidates like DeAndre Ayton, you know, Jack Levine in the restricted part, and then guys under contract: Kyrie, KD, Russ, you know, the Hawks players, and so forth. So we'll see how free agency checks out. The teams that got the most cap space are the teams that picked in the lottery. With Portland kind of being like that somewhat contending team. So it'll be real to see what's going to happen come the tapping period. But all kind of, I hate to bring it up. It all hinges on Kyrie in my eyes.
Yeah, I'm with you there. He's gonna be the big fish right there. So he's gonna, like I said, they already talked about him trying to see what the hell going on with how Dane got to picture him and Kevin Durant in Portland. So we'll see what Kyrie do. I mean, it seems like this season has been about him for the most part anyway.
Yeah. I'm trying to pull up, see who's available free agent wise. Guys that can opt out are James Harden, Russell Westbrook, Bradley Beal, Kyrie Irving. I think all those guys opt in. Also, there's the news about John Wall. He did opt into his contract. There are reports saying they may discuss a buyout. God, that's a lot of money to leave on the table. Jeez Louise. But if he were to be bought out, D-Lock, where do you see Mr. Wall fitting that?
Well, I had already said that. I think I mentioned it to you. I texted you. I said I think the Lakers wouldn't be a bad move or somebody that's going to try to make a move for him at this point. It just they need a point guard. Another team that possibly it was either him or possibly Boston.
Yep. I was gonna go there.
So yeah, so it just at this point, somewhere where he could fit, make that difference is one of those teams. I definitely see it possibly happening. It just at this point, um, that bought out is just what money do the gonna want to get from them. So that's those are two key teams that I think is gonna push for John Wall.
Gotta talk about Boston too. Like, if you throw John Wall, throw him with this Boston team currently constructed, they had to get rid of some picks and contracts to kind of make the salary work. But if you get a John Wall, give him a point guard position, move Smart to the bench. God, and let's say for example they meet up with the Warriors again to play in the finals. The turnovers would be minimal with him at the helm beside without Smart out there. And think about the scenarios you can do the pick and roll situations with him and Horford, him and Grant Williams, and the ball movement with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown on the wings with the John Wall. And then John Wall, who's an excellent finisher down low, layup wise, dunking wise. That's deadly right there. I mean, if you got a guard like that, 6'4", big as he is, how quick he is, he'll punish a Steph Curry like that. And stuff like that. So, if he gets bought out, I see Boston as an option. You know, if Miami got the cap room or they can make cap room, that's a good option there too. If the Knicks kind of strike out with Jalen Brunson, that could be another option there. And New York is always searching for like a big name and stuff like that. That'd be another good piece for them there. And then I want to throw one more name out there for John Wall. The Clippers. I know they love Reggie Jackson. But kind of like the same scenario with Marcus Smart. Slide him down to that second unit. Put John Wall in that place. And then you got something going there. And especially in late game situations. You have Wall at the point, but you can slide Reggie Jackson to a 2 guard, Paul at the 3, Kawhi at that 4, and then whoever you want to have play at center. Or maybe you have Kawhi at that small 5, and you got Norman Powell out there at the 3 and moves Paul George to the 4. You could do some things with that lineup right there. But I think
you gotta have some options with that too. That'll look real nice as well.
So the Clippers are another team to keep an eye on there. And it's going down the list. You mentioned about Ricky Rubio. There's reports saying Cleveland's like interested bringing him back. And I think that happens. I think Colin Sexton doesn't return in my eyes. Maybe, I'm not saying that he could, but it's like, why would you if they bring back Rubio and then you got LeVert and all that and the draft pick there already? So it's like, if you're Colin Sexton, you can look up options elsewhere. Then going down the list, like veterans like Iguodala, Thaddeus Young, Joe Ingles, Torian Prince, Nurkic, center for Portland, T.J. Warren, like you alluded to, a guy that was averaging like 20 plus points before the injuries happened. You know, where does he fit in and all this? Portland got some cat space and whatnot. Go along with Jeremy Grant. Do they try and make a swing for him? I don't know. There's options there. DeAndre Ayton, like we mentioned, Montrezl Harrell, but I think he got everything to worry about right now. DeLon Wright, Marvin Bagley, you know, former second overall pick. What does he go? Does he still try to stay in Detroit? Does he go to another place to maybe start elsewhere? He's going to be real interesting to see where he goes. Tyus Jones, good quality guard. If a Boston can't lure like a John Wall, I think that'd be a good pickup for him. Go to Boston. Thomas Bryant, good stretch big. PJ Tucker, there's like reports saying he's linked to the Sixers potentially. So let's keep an eye on that. Curtis Bolcher, Jared Culver, Patrick Mills. He has a player option. Mobama. What's the market for Mobama in your eyes?
Well, for me, I think that there's going to be a couple of teams in play for him. He's so young, and that wingspan is just what it is. You have to consider he's probably 23, 24. Honestly, I feel like he's a hell of a player. I just don't think the Magic knew what to do with him. So I think at this point, you have to put together somebody. He could be a good piece for the Lakers. A big to go in that rotation. But so young, we've seen a lot of young players, look one specific way early in their career and then drastically improve. And I think that's what we see in the Mo Bamba. Not necessarily this next up and coming year, but maybe a couple years down the road. So I think there's there's some teams out there that need centers. We talked about Charlotte. Hell, they still need a damn center. So I think there's a couple teams out there that definitely consider. The Clippers could also as well. So I do see them possibly being out west. But there's a few teams that would probably take interest. Also, don't forget Toronto might want to get a center as well.
Yeah, definitely agree with you there. Let's go down the list. Kevon Looney, he's maybe getting looks as teams potential starting center. Bruce Brown, 3D type of guy who can be like a good starter on a very good contending team, especially on that mid-level offer. So some teams with the mid-level offer that could be targeting a Bruce Brown there. So not that first wave free agency, but that second wave, you start hearing a name like a Bruce Brown. Don't be surprised to get picked up quickly. Bobby Portis, very interesting name. Does Bobby Portis still stay in Milwaukee, or does he go elsewhere?
I think he ends up in Milwaukee. I mean, I think that right now what they have, I think that, like we said before, if Chris Middleton plays, maybe this team isn't not in the finals possibly, or move forward in a sense. But I think that they want to keep that group together. If they can keep that group together, they have a chance to do something really special moving forward. And Bobby Portis will be part of it. So that's just what my thoughts are with that. I just feel like Bobby Portis has found a place where he fits in that perfect, especially with the rotation of guys. And they're gonna lose Serge Ibaka.
Yeah. And I'm just looking down the list. A lot of veteran guys. who may get snatched up, may not get snatched up. I don't see ever names. I mean, not worth. I mean, not say not worth mentioning, but there's Mitchell Robinson, Malik Monk, uh, Bobo, Rodney Hood, Victor Oladipo, who may go back to Miami, Andre Drummond, depending, what the other two guys do. He may stay put or leave. So, like we alluded to, ladies and gentlemen, I think it's gonna be a trade heavy off season. So expect to see a lot of trades in my eyes. And for the same regular players. Either it's like the Brooklyn Nets, Los Angeles Lakers, New York Knicks. Rumors about the Heat and Mavericks may get involved as well. Chicago Bulls, the Portland Trail Blazers, Phoenix Suns, Atlanta Hawks. Do the Celtics stand pat? I mean, always got to look to improve your team. What about Philly? Granted they got DeAnthony Milton, but that isn't enough to do anything. So what they look to do? Minnesota, not really feeling D'Angelo Russell no more. Could they move him this off season? So, like I said, I think it's gonna be real trade heavy, and we'll see how things come about and the rumors and all that stuff come about up this upcoming Thursday. Any final thoughts there, D Lock?
I mean, that's basically. I just feel like how this Kyrie situation plays out can determine a lot. And also it just you want to see you want to see some. You don't want to see too much roster changes, but I think that we might see a lot of signing trades that go on, especially with these different scenarios and different combinations that these teams are trying to put together and make. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens.
And that's our show tonight, ladies and gentlemen. And lots of good things we talked about today. Draft talk, NBA free agency preview. Steve Clifford getting hired by the Hornets again and whatnot. So a lot of discussion we had tonight. Like I alluded to at the beginning of the show, we did 3 hours of NBA draft talk and some free agency and stuff like trade, stuff like that on my personal YouTube page, Davidson Crooks. Just search Davidson Crooks on there, and we discussed 3 hours of the draft there. More in depth, talking about the draft picks and whatnot. We kind of stopped after the Lakers pick, so up to that point, we're live discussing all these picks and scenarios and whatnot, how these kids would fit with these teams and whatnot. Gave some winners and losers at the end of the video, so please do check that out. Okay? But D-Lock, how can people find you on social media?
Yeah, you can find me at Black-813. That is Black-813. Definitely tweeting about the actual hockey. Tampa Bay Lightning is playing for the Stanley Cup final right now, so I'm already all over the place.
You can find me on Twitter at Spawn4288. That is Spawn4288. Also, do follow the show at Fastbreak at IESR. That's Fastbreak IESR. Also, do check out iSportsRadio.com for all latest videos about the show and other shows on our network. Andrew Hairball is going to be on next at 9 o'clock for the Soccer Scoreboard show. So please do tune in for that. And also, I do want to shout out to our Patreons real quick. Bay Area Rays, Marcus, Los, Gray, Key to the Gate, and Anonymous. So thank y'all for contributing as y'all do here monthly, and we greatly appreciate it here. But Please do follow us on Twitter. Free agency coming up about 4 days. May go live. Discuss all the moves that will be happening. So, like I said, do follow the page, and you won't miss out on all the news. But until then, ladies and gentlemen, we'll talk to y'all next week. And if not, we'll talk to y'all beforehand. Until then, we're out.